You know, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People has been a massive bestseller for almost a century now. And you have to ask why. Well, it's because this isn't just theory, it's all about action. So let's go ahead and distill all that timeless wisdom into a practical toolkit you can literally start using the second this explainer is over.
Oh, we have all been there. You're trying to convince a coworker about an idea, or you're in a debate with a friend, or you're just trying to get someone to see things your way, and it's going absolutely nowhere. It is one of the most frustrating feelings, and Carnegie has a really surprising take on why it keeps happening.
So what's the deal? Well, the problem is our own gut instinct. When someone challenges us, we want to fight back, right? We want to prove that we're right. But according to Carnegie, that is almost always the worst thing you can do. In fact, he says trying to win an argument is a surefire way to lose the bigger game. I love this. Carnegie lays out this amazing paradox. Just think about it for a second. If you lose an argument, well, you lost. Simple. But what if you win? What if you completely demolish the other person's points? Well, you've made them feel small, you've hurt their pride, you might get that little moment of victory, but you've probably lost their goodwill forever. So, you still lose.
Carnegie actually learned this the hard way at a dinner party. He corrected a guy who misquoted something, and hey, Carnegie was right. But what happened? All he did was make the other guy feel foolish and create this super awkward silence. Later, a friend pulled him aside and was like, "Why did you have to prove him wrong? Is that going to make him like you? Why not just let him save face?"
Okay, so if arguing is just a losing game, what are you supposed to do instead? Well, Carnegie's answer is pretty radical. You have to stop trying to change their mind, and you have to start by changing your approach. And it all begins with this one foundational principle.
Carnegie is so clear on this point. He basically says that criticism is useless because it just puts people on the defensive right away. Think about it. It wounds their pride, it hurts their sense of importance, and all it does is create resentment. It almost never, ever leads to any kind of real, lasting change.
This story is just a wild illustration of his point. Two Gun Crowley was this brutal killer who, in his own mind, saw himself as a victim. Carnegie's point is, if a violent criminal on his way to the electric chair won't blame himself for anything, what chance do you have of making your coworker or your cousin see their own faults just by criticizing them? The answer is pretty much zero.
And hey, if it makes you feel any better, even Abraham Lincoln had to learn this the hard way. After the Battle of Gettysburg, he wrote this furious, scathing letter to General Meade for letting the enemy army escape, but he never sent it. He stopped and realized that all that criticism would do is make Meade defensive and bitter. It wouldn't solve a thing.
So what's the flip side of criticism? It's not just being quiet, it's appreciation. Andrew Carnegie paid Charles Schwab over $1 million a year, which was an insane amount of money back then, mostly because he was a genius at dealing with people. And Schwab's secret? It wasn't about fake flattery. It was giving honest, sincere appreciation. He knew that's what really lights a fire under people.
All right, so step one, we're not criticizing, we're showing appreciation. Now let's build on that with our practical toolkit. Here are 3 super simple, almost shockingly simple ways to instantly connect with people.
I know what you're thinking. That sounds way too easy, right? A smile, remembering a name. But these things are so incredibly powerful. A genuine smile says, "I like you, I'm happy to see you," way better than words ever could. And a person's name, to them, it is the sweetest and most important sound in any language. And really listening, that's one of the highest compliments you can possibly pay someone.
The book has this perfect little story. There's this guy who noticed the name tag of a cafeteria worker who always seemed grumpy. The next day, he smiled and said, "Hello, Eunice," and the result? She just lit up and piled his plate with food. That is the magic inside a name. It's so simple, but it makes people feel seen and important.
In this quote right here, this is exactly why being a good listener works like a magnet. When you encourage other people to talk about themselves, you are tapping directly into their all-time favorite subject. Giving someone your exclusive, focused attention is more flattering than any praise you could ever give because it tells them that you genuinely value them and their world.
Okay, so you've made a real connection. People like you. But how do you go from just being liked to actually influencing someone's way of thinking? Well, that brings us to the most powerful tool in the whole kit.
This right here is the master key that unlocks everything else. Before you can persuade anyone of anything, you have to completely stop thinking about what you want. Instead, you have to start thinking about what they want. You have to genuinely try to see the world through their eyes.
The only way on earth to influence other people is to talk in terms of what they want. As Carnegie says, you have to bait the hook to suit the fish, right? You might love strawberries and cream, but fish prefer worms. The lesson is simple. Frame everything you're proposing in terms of their wants and their desires, not your own.
So let's just break this down. The common mistake is to say something like, look, I need you to do this because I want to get it done. The Carnegie way is to ask yourself, how can I make this person want to do it? It's a huge shift from making demands to actually persuading, from focusing on your benefits to focusing entirely on theirs.
And get this, Carnegie used this trick himself. A hotel tried to triple the rent for a ballroom he was using. He didn't complain or talk about his budget. Instead, he wrote a letter listing all the pros and cons for the hotel, pointing out how much prestige and advertising they got from his events. The result? They massively reduced the rent increase, and he never even mentioned what he wanted.
So we've covered a lot here, right? We're avoiding arguments, we're giving sincere appreciation, we're remembering names, and we're seeing things from the other person's point of view. And it all really boils down to one single central idea.
And that's it. That's the whole secret right there. It's about developing a genuine, unselfish interest in other people. It's about remembering that the world doesn't revolve around you. From their perspective, it revolves around them. The moment you make that tiny mental shift from me to you, absolutely everything changes.
Look, Carnegie's book is all about action. So the real value isn't just knowing these ideas, it's about actually applying them. So what's it going to be? Will you make a point to smile at a stranger today? Will you use someone's name in a conversation? Or will you try to see a disagreement completely from the other side? Because the real power isn't in the knowing, it's in the doing.